All right. Okay, well, the question is, are we live?
You're live.
Oh my gosh,
There we go.
we are live. And what I love about I never quite know until I see red lights on the camera if we are live or not. But we are live. Welcome, everybody, to the Cat and Todd Live. Here we go. It's a big day. Is your microphone on? Okay, so we are experiencing, of course, technical difficulties, but I am here to say what a day it is for us. It's 8 years ago today that Debbie graduated to heaven, and yesterday was 8 years to the day for Carrie. So this is always a it it's always a kind of a, I wouldn't say somber day, but it's a tough day, we don't talk about it that much, but we have a show dedicated to Debbie and her dream, and we're just really happy to be able to spend this day with you because I know that we have heard from so many people today on social media, on our text messaging, and people are so kind to remember the date. You have no idea what that means to this family. It
can't
is
leave.
just awesome. Okay, so I am going to go ahead and start this show.
You can't
but-
start it. He's getting ready to leave for some reason.
Okay, you want to take this over because it's hard for me to talk
I don't
and
know,
hear
I don't know
and
what to say. Where were you going, That
yes.
can't be done.
Okay, that's fine.
Not
I can
it-
do.
Not now.
I am good. So we did have a show opener, but we're not playing it
No,
because.
it's ready now.
Oh, it's
It's
ready.
not queued up though. For some
Okay.
reason.
So we'll go ahead and play that. And
We're not doing the regular opening. You can skip that. We blew that.
I have no idea where we are. Okay, so I'm just going to keep talking until we do. So we are going to play something, or what are we doing there, Seth? Someone has to give me a clue. I know this is.
We're going to be, well, today we're talking about, because, we all were talking and we discussed how it was, Todd's mom's dream in life. Oh, I have my camera because I have no hair or makeup done. This
Nobody
is
taught that-
wonderful.
Has no one taught that
There's
boy to
no
talk to the camera?
business like show business.
The
So
back of your
anyway,
head is still on camera.
well, I know. Well, I have nothing to face. There's no face on, so it doesn't matter.
See the red light?
But anyway, hello, America. My name's Hoda. She's Kathy Lee. So anyway, we're going to be talking about today because it was your mom's dream, about her collection, but really about the auction that you put together with her and for her with profiles in history. And so we have a lot put together for that and to talk about.
That's right, because Debbie's dream, in fact, was to have the museum, and when that could not and did not happen, then we had the first auction. Was that 2011 or yeah, 2011?
Summer.
And it was at the Paley Center in Beverly Hills, and I will never forget it because it was such a gargantuan task. That is the place where the auction was going to take place. It is also the place where people from all over the world were going to be able to come and see the collection. Not all of the collection, of course, but Todd built the most amazing museum for his mother so that she could experience this dream of hers in a way that things were going to be available for the public to come see. And boy, did they come see it. They came from all four corners of the world. We had, and Todd, I'll never forget it because his vision was to have everything the way that it was going to be in the museum should it have ever come to fruition. And that was that the costumes and artifacts would be displayed beautifully, and there would be a monitor at every single costume, and it would show the scenes that costume was in the movie. Because if you're just looking at a costume, and we know this because we've been to museums where they don't have the video support, and you're just looking at a costume and you think, oh wow, look at that. But when you see the costume in motion, when you see it in its full glory in the film, it all of a sudden means something more because video is everything, and there's a reason for that because it excites the imagination, and seeing the costumes in their full glory like that made people just gasp. It was that incredible. So Todd put together this museum, and we were all there working on it. it took an army, but we didn't have an army, so we were the small army that put this together, and your vision on that was incredible. So I'm going to let you take that over, Todd,
No,
because
we'll just run the video.
oh, we'll run the video first. Okay, so we'll do that, and I'm not sure. I'm excited because I haven't seen the video yet, so this is going to be great.
Well, some of the stuff people have seen, but let's just assume
Yeah.
some they have, some they haven't.
This was her dream. So, Debbie, on your day, here's your dream again. Here we go.
Oh, I heard about it through the grapevine, and then I was in the Reporter, Army Archer, was on in all the newspapers that they were having this enormous auction, and no one really could believe it that they were going to sell off everything, but it was true. They even sold the rose bushes.
For the majority of people, it was very, very exciting. For those of us that had worked at the studio, it was rather sad. It was like watching your ancestral home sold off for back taxes.
Sprinkled amid the hordes of press and curious onlookers were celebrities like former MGM starlet Debbie Reynolds. Reynolds has long been the celebrity most associated with preserving Hollywood costumes. In 1970, Reynolds was actively working to establish a Hollywood museum, and she saw the MGM auction as her chance to begin preserving these pieces. Reynolds spent $180,000 purchasing dozens of the MGM costumes, including a dress worn by Judy Garland in The Wizard of Oz and Marilyn Monroe's famous subway dress from The 7-Year Itch.
I've been saving all this stuff since 1970. I started buying because I couldn't stand it, that they were selling off our history. Well, I went to Mr. Astaire. I went to quite a few stars to see if I could get them interested in giving money towards building a museum, creating a museum, which had been tried years and years ago with Mary Pickford, in the probably 40s, and then again by the Hollywood Bowl, but all seemed to fail. And that's what happened with me at least 5 different times, 5 different locations in 20th century area there, ABC complex. Pan Pacific was available, and we were trying to make arrangements with the city council. Bob Peterson wanted to be there. David Walper wanted to be on the board. Everybody was very anxious about that. We really wanted to do it. Then in Hollywood, at the Hollywood wonderful old house that a man named Mr. Cars owned. And so I went there. I tried to get, and that was a gotten deal, but you had to raise the money. Then there was the notorious, in my mind, Hollywood and Highland location.
The Hollywood Motion Picture Collection will act as the emotional magnet to draw cinema buffs from all over the world and will be an essential ingredient in the renaissance of the Hollywood community.
Hit it, Louise! The Hollywood Motion Picture Collection, of which we have a fabulous one. It's been a long, hard fight to achieve a location from the year 1970 to 2001, and we have to be ready by 2002. It should have always been located here in Hollywood, and now it will be. The preservation of film is a multifaceted job. For years, many of our finest films lay crumbling in vaults, some of which are now lost to all of us forever. But thanks to the tireless and the great work of AFI, American Film Institute, and American Movie Classics that we watch on Turner Classics. I've gone to the Academy at least 3-4 times to meet with the board of directors to see if we could get the Academy very involved and interested in the preservation and saving of the costumes along with the film, because we all know the most important thing is the film. We all know that. But along with that, we wanted to save the cameras, the costumes, the props, the tangibles, we'll call them.
Right now, it's like you have a chance to do something different. That's what we're saying here. It's not about the history of how many times they've been in here listening to this and not doing it. They may go back into that board meeting and do exactly what they did over the last 20 years. They might.
And they've never been asked to sponsor before. They never were.
Well, we're going to give them a very specific proposal that says you need to give money to build your own little place inside of here that represents the Academy. That's unique. They never had that opportunity. It was never that clear. That's a very clear thing to ask for.
They felt that they really couldn't give their money
at that time, each time, for saving costumes. So I couldn't make any headway. I did try.
Right on. Yes, she did try. I was there. I was looking at that scene in the academy, and there's a lot of behind-the-scene footage there, and I can just tell you, without embarrassing anybody, that one of the key comments was, I don't really understand the connection between, you know, the costumes and the movies. I don't really get that. We were like, I'm sorry, let me explain it to you. And that's where the whole thing where we started to develop this.
This was with the Academy?
The Academy.
Okay.
The Academy, of course, blew her off many times before that.
Yeah.
But this was, I was old enough now. The first time I saw her blow her off, I was about, I don't know, a teenager at best, 13. And, you know, I didn't really understand what was going on. I certainly didn't talk at the meetings, but I certainly talked at that meeting after they kind of blew her off again. So the story, you know, it's a saga. I mean, the whole thing, and this quickly runs through it. I mean, what you just saw there was her talking about the Pan Pacific building, which was in the 60s, and then they eventually tore that down. That's where the movie Xanadu.
Well, we did watch that movie last night for one reason and one reason alone.
See that building.
I
Well,
wanted
Gene
to see
Kelly.
I wanted to see the building, and I wanted to see Gene Kelly, but it was rough getting
Gene
through that
Kelly
movie. I will tell you.
Outshines everybody in that movie.
Oh, gosh,
He
yes.
is, that smile, even at that age, is unreal, and he dances beautifully. But the Pan Pacific building was used in that movie, and you can see it.
They're saying they can barely hear you, so I
Barely
think.
hear
Well,
me.
your mic is way down here, so if you
Let
pull
me
that
just-
up a
let me
little
just
bit,
see.
you feel it? It's way down.
Okay, we can
There
move
you
it
go.
around here.
There
Let's
you
see,
go.
is that okay? You tell me if that's better.
I will tell you now. Hold on.
Anyway, the bottom line is that she was not deterred by the Pan Pacific failure. I have all the renderings. They spent a lot of money planning it. Would have been an amazing location and facility for it, but they decided it needed to be torn down and turned into condominiums. The next attempt was the Cars building. That was the black and white photo you saw of that big building, and everything got moved over there. They were going to, that was right next to Grauman's, by the way. The Cars building, a parking lot, and Grauman's. It was like primo location. We actually, that happened in my teenage years. I remember getting involved with that, and they'd sent over a bunch of stuff, including a bunch of camera equipment that they put down in the basement. You know what I'm going to say next, right? The basement flooded.
Oh no.
And ruined much of
Oh.
what was put down in that basement. Also, this is when things began to disappear. This is when John LeBeau and these other people, Michael Shaw, were involved in organizing the collection, one for you, one for me, and things disappeared. We ran some footage last show where there was a shot of my mother doing an interview, and she's up on the rack, and you see the gingham dress of Judy Garland sitting there, and that dress disappeared. It's a long story. I won't tell the story right now, but that dress disappeared, never made it. And I was not even, when it disappeared, I was still very young. I mean, it disappeared when I was like a teenager because it disappeared during the Irene days. And I wasn't really involved in trying to preserve or help her with the collection at that point. In fact, my connection to the collection came as it related to the hotel and building a museum. Before that, was not involved in a lot of these things. I did go to a few meetings over the years. Now, that meeting that you just saw with the Academy,
Yes.
that was
How old were you there?
after.
Do you think
That was after Vegas. And how old am I?
You were probably in your 30s. Yeah.
But I was, I was a little more daunting at that point. I mean, I was defending her and her dream, and I was a little indignant, when they would blow her off. It's like, are you kidding me? So, needless to say that the Hollywood and Highland Complex project came next. The economy tanked after 9/11. That project, the developer went belly up and left us with that debt, which is what, in effect, in the long run, what caused the auction. Pigeon Forge
yes.
would have bailed us out.
Yep.
Big time. But again, another economic collapse.
Have you ever thought that if the Pigeon Forge had gone through, because the building was built,
Yes.
so if Pigeon Forge had gone through, we would probably be living in Pigeon Forge.
Well, I wouldn't have needed to live there, but I was going to buy a
Oh.
little place there.
Yeah.
I actually had a place on the island.
Oh, I
I
know.
used to park my RV there for a while, but when they were building out the complex, I showed you those apartments. There was a
Yes.
beautiful Debbie and Todd apartment that was going to be right there across
Yep.
the street.
Everything was, the only thing that hadn't been installed was the air conditioning. I
No,
remember
it had
that.
been installed. It wasn't on, but it was installed. In
Because I
fact,
remember seeing air conditioning boxes, and I
but
was
listen,
like, "This is how close you
I
got."
want to give a plug. Train Air Conditioning became the sponsor of the museum, and gave us $1 million worth of air conditioning equipment because it's huge air handlers. It had the equivalent of what would be in a hotel. You had what's called a chiller system with 4 pipes making hot and cold water, humidifiers, very elaborate computer-controlled system. It was fully installed, all this fire suppression. You were there. We rode the elevators.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't
Hey,
turned on because the building...
But it was a hair's breadth away from being able to be open to the public.
But weren't you with me also right at that moment? I went to the state, and we were trying to get the state to step in. They could have guaranteed the bonds to
Yep.
finish the project, because that was when everybody was talking about shovel-ready projects. And I went to this meeting at the state legislature, and I went to another meeting at the governor's office, and there were certain people that wanted to help or said they did, but behind the scenes, nobody at that time, everybody was paranoid to do anything.
Well,
And
that
they-
was 2008 or so, right?
Yeah.
It was when the market crashed.
No, it was way after that. I mean, this meeting was you were with me.
No,
It's
but what-
2011. This is 10.
Yes, but the reason that it all crashed was from 2008.
Correct.
And
That's what caused
yes.
the situation,
Right.
because Countrywide was our lender and they went out of business.
Right.
But anyway, the bottom line is that amazing building was built, and the collection was going in. In fact, these I have with me here sitting off to my side. These were a couple of my mom's favorite things. There's a Maltese Falcon, a pair of, we call it the close-up Debbie slippers. This is what you see in bright lights that she has on her mantle. And this is my Christmas present from Kat. No, excuse me, right here. This is what I wanted for Christmas, which was like a 50s speed graphic, kind of like what the old press used to do. You remember the
Oh, this camera just slays me. It really does. I
remember how
mean,
they
this.
would-
Remember,
the paparazzi
this is
would,
yeah,
hold it right there. Hey, you stop, freeze.
And that is that bulb.
I showed you the bulb's in there. That's a real bulb.
But I mean, I just love that camera, and I just think about all the things it must have photographed.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was what all the press used. And
Yep.
Man, that's when you had 4x5
With
pictures. too.
Miss
Beautiful.
Swanson, this way. That would have been in the 20s, right, or the 30s?
But what's cool is my mother, and I'm looking at another camera on my shoulder, a BNC. My mother responded later to collecting the cameras, and I made a pretty good argument a little later on where I said, well, you've got the costumes and the furniture and all that, why not the cameras? And so over my shoulder is a BNC camera from 20th Century Fox. This camera shot a lot of the Monroe musicals. Let me find that. Get over my shoulder here somewhere. There it is. No, over here. Anyway, the camera was used in a couple of my mom's movies and stuff that was done at Fox. It's a perfect order Mitchell standard Mitchell BNC on a world geared head. This stuff was really popular in the museum in Vegas, and we had planned to do technology pavilions and all of this. And it all ended up, let me have the first auction catalog.
The first auction, I believe,
Bottom one.
is this one.
In fact, this is some of I'm not sure what we're up to here, but
We need to talk about this because
gonna
it's
talk about
only
it
for the
anyway.
show. We don't have any auction items today, but we have, this is the only signed one I think we have, correct?
right.
So this is going to be going up on the page and only for the duration of this show. The only thing we have not determined is the
But
price
this-
on it. Do you
right.
know? So it's 500. It's signed. This is a very hard book to find. It's from
So
the
you
first
can
auction.
see in here, well, one of the things that was the pictures we went to a massive amount of trouble, to do this.
This is the most astonishing book because it's
But this is-
hardcover.
And this was the
Yes.
cream of the crop. The first auction was
The
most
costumes
of the really,
in it.
really
A
good
costume
stuff.
designer, if anybody wanted to have a line of clothing, if a designer or someone that knows how to get things made just went through this, there is a treasure trove of incredible designs in here.
There's a cool letter
from
in
the
here.
20s to modern day.
Well, it makes a fabulous coffee table book too, because it's the evolution of cinema costuming.
It
See,
is.
so
That's
here's-
right. Exactly.
It was done by date. So there's a 20th Century Fox Rackover camera.
There's
and that's
Groucho. There's
Harpo.
Harpo Marx's
Harpo's wig and
hat. You know,
There's
yeah.
also a really beautiful letter in here from George Lucas. It says, as a filmmaker and lover of cinema, I've always appreciated the many disciplines that go into making a film, the props, the costumes, all the aspects that come together to make the whole as a great sum of its parts. I have archived all the important pieces from my own films, and I am a staunch believer it is important that we all make an effort to preserve our cinematic heritage before it's too late. Fortunately for all of us, Debbie Reynolds has collected a wonderful array of costumes and artifacts from her own personal cinematic history. As a shining star from one of the industry's most vibrant periods, her private collection is the holy grail of screen memorabilia and an intimate glimpse into Hollywood's golden age. Thanks to Debbie, these iconic pieces are intact and in excellent condition, a rarity in an industry too often driven by the next big thing, rather than by the respect for its past. As time passes, there are fewer opportunities for fans to avail themselves firsthand of this rich heritage, and I hope that the true cinemaphiles will see this collection for what it is, a treasure, George Lucas. So there's that letter in there, a copy of it in color.
Yes.
And, you know, not everybody obviously got it. And by the way, we went to George and wanted to do the museum. He didn't want to do one at the time. We went to Spielberg. We went to, you name it, Warren Buffett. I was there. I mean, I don't mean we went like, I don't know, I heard rumors. I mean, I sat there and listened to these people blow her off. And I mean,
Well, I didn't know that you went to and it's just a kind of a side note here, but Steven Spielberg has spent millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars on the Academy Museum that is in Hollywood today.
yeah, but Carrie and I went to him.
Oh, yeah, right. But it's just interesting that that was a no then. But then,
Well, I could explain. I mean, at the time, he had a lot of money going into certain Jewish charities that he was involved with in
Yeah.
Israel, as well as he was a he was building like a wing on USC.
yes.
And it was just like, you know,
Just
I
a bad
have too much
time.
on my plate,
Yeah.
whatever. But we went to him a couple of times, and Warren Buffett, you know, blew us off in a very graceful, nice way. I could name, you know, some people that I probably shouldn't, but at any rate, the bottom line is that generally speaking, that people suffered from a lack of understanding. Now, when I built a museum in Vegas, a lot of people all of a sudden were like, "Oh, I could have had a V8." You know,
Yeah.
like they're like, "Oh, so I get it. The film clips and the costumes, all that. All." What's weird though is that we went that footage you just saw in that clip of me in the Academy.
Yes.
That's after that. So after Roddy McDowall wrote that letter, you got to read. Like on his deathbed, literally, Roddy McDowall wrote a letter to the Academy begging them to do something with Debbie, and they blew it off.
I have a question that is very funny. Groovy Nikki says, "How do you blow someone off gracefully?"
It goes like this. You know, I think your vision is incredible, and you know, I really appreciate, you know, the fact that you've gone to all this trouble for all these years. It's great, but it's just not exactly a fit for us right now. And now that would be, but at the Academy it actually went like this. Well, we don't really see the connection, you know, with the costumes to the film and all of that. Like, you're like, are you serious? And so we had to explain. We said, you see, this is the costume that Vivian Lee was wearing, which she said, my God, I will never go hungry again, or whatever. It's like, what is it? You don't understand that these are the tangibles to go with the film clips. These are the things that remain, as Carrie coined that phrase. And they didn't get it, honestly. Now, later, obviously, they got it because they built the museum now. But, you know, that was like years later.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're talking big time. Also, I'm just going to tell you this. Like, when I first got involved in the movie business, beyond being a little boy and doing little extras things with my mom, one of my first big jobs working on a series was with, maybe I shouldn't mention names, I'll just tell the story. Anyway, I worked on this series for Showtime. 5 episodes, 1-hour episodes. And the shenanigans and the stuff that goes on, you know, on a movie set between the producers and all of the different people and the politics. And the thing that drives a lot of this is ego. And I think it was Reagan that said something like, you know, it's incredible. Oh, no, it wasn't. It was Truman. He said, if you don't care who gets the credit, it's amazing what can get done. So this gets back to ego and taking credit for things. And I started to develop my personal philosophy. And I actually came up with a quote during that production. Where ego goes, progress slows. That is what I saw for a period of months while I worked on these multiple films. And
I think that would be true for any. I think that would be true for any business.
it's true for any business, but
Yeah.
the entertainment business has so many artists involved and so many dynamics. Some people are then famous, others are not. But just the dynamics are extreme, and they come out very obviously when you're working on a movie. And the movie sets that are the most successful are the ones like Clint Eastwood's. There's like, if you go on a Clint Eastwood set, everybody's worked for years together. Everybody gets along. There's no ego, no bullshit. And, you know, a lot of these other sets are driven by this craziness. And people are scared. They're going to lose their jobs. And all of that is a factor. And so ego starts going out of control. That is why the museum never got built.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to give some credit back to the Academy. Years later, in fact, the year was, is the date on this thing? Yeah, there it is. 2015. The Academy gave my mother, and this says, I'm holding right now an Academy Award given to my mother, and it says, the Academy of Motion Picture and Arts and Scientists, Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award to Debbie Reynolds for the irresistible optimism and unflagged support she has brought to the lives of those in need. So if you watch the video, which we've run multiple times of what we used as a video when she won the award, you know, part of the work was her humanitarian work with the City of Hope and with the veterans and going to Korea and all of this. But a big chunk of it, of course, was Hollywood preservation of Hollywood history. And so that's why. So they really came back and recognized, don't you agree?
Yes.
That they had missed the boat and they
My gosh, yes. I came to this family on the tail end of all that, and so it was incredible to me. I just could not believe that nobody could quite get it, and it's been, I will say, and you know, because I am shocked that no one still gets it, because there is a way to do the museum.
Well, what is it that what they do get it? They built the Academy built a giant monolithic structure in the old Macy's building on Wilshire.
Yes.
And they spent ungodly amounts of money, truthfully.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to criticize them at all, you know, I don't understand what they're doing with the space. They don't do what we did, you know, with the clips and all of that. I don't know why. I learned long ago that was the way to communicate this message. The clips were essential with every artifact or interviews or whatever you're going to do to tell the story. People want the visual medium. They want to be told the story like we're telling it now. And speaking of stories, what's our next clip?
Oh, wait a minute. Let me just talk about the book real quick. If anyone is interested in purchasing the one signed copy of Debbie's catalog with all the costumes in it, it is currently on the website.
It's currently on the homepage.
Okay, so it's
of
on the Debbie
website.
Reynolds
And let me see the other book.
Store.com.
Be careful, that signature will rub off. if
Okay,
you're
so
not
we have to
careful.
be very careful, because she actually signed the cover.
And it's shiny photographic
Yes,
stock, so
so-
it can wear off.
All right.
So
Now,
this
there's
book,
5 of these books. None of them are signed, but they're all going to also be on the studio store.
This is the second auction, December of 2011, 6 months after the first.
Right.
Again, the same thing though, like really beautiful. There's a lot of the cameras that were
Oh, it's a
sold.
hardcover book. It is
It's stunning.
incredible.
Again,
these-
it is a coffee table book. But I would just say that what I was going to do is offer this at a discount for the holidays. So we went to
We're-
85.
Yeah, so they're on sale now for $85, plus you will get free shipping with them. but-
$85 and free shipping. So there are 5 of those only, and again, they are not signed, but these are as rare as hen's teeth. I mean, these are just so great.
This is kind of interesting. Look what's on the back
Oh.
of this.
Oh, look,
So
the
that's
back.
that's the slippers that just got resold, I believe, or these are the ones that went to the
No,
Smithsonian?
those are the ones before. The ones that got resold are those ones that got stolen that they recently recovered, the FBI.
So look at that. That's kind of cool, right?
Yes, that is cool. But these are incredible books, but that they're only being offered at these prices during this show hour. So that's why I wanted to get that off
Right. So there's
the plate. Yeah.
we had apparently he found a little stash of these, so we're offering them and hope that the right people will get these and preserve them. So that's that, right?
That is that. So you have until the end of the show to check
Now,
that
what's
out.
this clip you got?
So we're going to.
Well, next up, we actually have Hello, America. This is what the gay man looks like without when they turn you into a lesbian.
Wait a minute.
Well, this is how
You're
this is
gay?
how
I'm
This
stunned.
is how Seth
I'm
operates.
stunned.
Hello,
Oh,
everybody. It's so nice to have you on the show. I've loved seeing you here. Thank you so much for being here, and good night. Did your mother not teach you? My mother should have met
His
Seth.
mother-
But your
taught
mother
him
taught me
beautifully.
only get on camera when your hair and your makeup's done.
Then
That's
there's
right.
And now well, that's right. Now I can play the dual roles. But anyway, the next video we have actually is of Kat at the first auction. Actually, when you guys were doing previews, Kat went out, which was really cool, and talked to everybody who was coming from literally, I believe, even different states and different parts of
all
the
over
world.
the world, yeah.
Were coming to take a look at the fabulous collection that Todd put as a temporary museum before the auction. So
How-
Kat got to
How long
interview
did we have
people.
that museum up?
Well, the second one was there for 6 months.
But the first one,
Only about a month and a half.
a month and a half. But it put Beverly Hills in such a, everyone was suffering from 2008. All the stores, all the restaurants still. Beverly Hills was not doing well, and when we
Everybody
installed
thanked
this,
us.
everybody came to thank us because the lines going around the block to see the collection. People shopped in the stores, they ate in the restaurants, and those people that owned those stores and restaurants literally came over to thank us for that. And that was really something. There was so much magic around this whole thing, and it was so great. As sad as Debbie was, it was so great for your mom to be able to see everything the way that she had wanted it to be seen. So
And there it
I've
was.
not seen this footage, and we shot it in 2011, and we have never even looked at it. So
Yep.
I can't
well,
wait to
I've
see
seen
this.
it, but here we go.
Okay.
Ready?
Alrighty.
Roll it.
Karen Baker, where did you come from to see this collection? And
I live here in Los Angeles. I'm a Los Angeles native, and I came yesterday, and I had to come again today. I couldn't miss a chance to see these amazing costumes again. I've been into old films since I was a little girl, and it's heartbreaking to me that they're being sold off. I wish they would all be kept together in a lot, but I understand it's an expensive venture. I really hope somebody swoops in at the last minute and decides to buy them all and display them all, because Hollywood could really use a museum devoted to costuming and to all this amazing film history we have. We have a really rich history in Los Angeles, and it's not being preserved as it should be.
and I'd like you to just look into the camera there and say whatever you'd like to Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie, I'm sad that this stuff is going, but I appreciate so much all the efforts you've made over the decades to try to keep this stuff together and wanting to have a museum to preserve it all. And you've done a great thing. Maybe somebody will swoop in at the last minute and buy it all. I'm hoping. But thank you for doing what you can. Really appreciate it. It was really moving being here this week. So thank you.
Well, thank you. So, what made you want to come down in here and see it? And tell me what your experience seeing these costumes has been.
For two reasons. One, I work in the business, and beyond that, I'm just a fan. This is part of my history in this country, so I wanted to come down and see it. And I happen to know Phil Hoffman, who helped design the room to put all the displays up, so I wanted to come support him. But above and beyond that, I would have come anyway, because it's the world I know. It's a world I'm comfortable in. And to be able to be in the energy of the costumes and some of the props that some of the most famous people in the world wore is an amazing thing. So I enjoyed I had to come, had to be part of it.
Well, what would you say to the people that have told Debbie when she tried so hard to get this done, the people that had the means, had the money, had all the resources to make this museum happen. And she told them so many people would feel the way you are talking right now. And they said, no, no one's going to want to see those old clothes. What would you say about that?
I'm profoundly shocked that she's had trouble. Talking to so many other people, and I'm here with family, we were like, there isn't a museum for things like this already? You just kind of thought there was. And I'm shocked. To me, it's like, shame on Hollywood, first of all, because this is, and I work in the business, so, shame on us. This is our history. This is American history. This is how the world got to know America. So the way it's housed at Paley Center here is so beautiful. It feels like a museum. Everybody experienced this like a museum. And to have the video screens showing the pictures next to the dresses made it so much more alive and a better experience than most museums. I mean, so, like, for Hollywood to not have it in the budget to make this happen, this is your history. It's like we put so much research and money into science to go see the drawings on the walls from the Aborigine cultures around the world that is part of our human history. This is the drawings on the wall for us modern day, and to not be preserving that is absolutely outrageous. I'm really shocked by that.
That's a really a point well made. I would like you to look into this camera and tell, this is for Debbie, just anything you'd like to say to her.
Well, I got to be around you, Ms. Reynolds, once or twice when I worked for E! Entertainment years and years ago. I was a videographer back in the day, and just your energy and who you were was so elegant and so homey on some level, which is hard to explain. You were not this unapproachable star. You were this star that I could feel comfortable being next to. So I appreciated meeting you those couple of times, and then to know you have been doing this with your family is a gift that you gave all of us, and we here in Los Angeles at least got the opportunity to see it, and greatly, greatly, greatly thank you for it. So good luck.
Thank you. That's great. Phil, I have been standing side by side with you for the last month, not even, and you have done the most incredible job of designing this exhibit for people with these costumes, and I mean, you have done such a great job, but what I want to know is how it's felt for you to do it, to be part of it, and to literally touch these costumes in every way imaginable.
It's been an incredible journey, and it's one entirely from the heart, and it was entirely inspired by Debbie and her family.
That's great. Is this going to be something you remember actually for the rest of your life? That this is this once in a lifetime thing that Debbie wanted for 50 years, and actually you were the person that made it all look like this with the rest of your crew?
It's burned in my heart and soul for the rest of my life.
That's great. I'm going to look into the camera there and tell Debbie whatever you'd like to say.
Debbie, I can't thank you enough for the opportunity to do this, and it truly is the experience of a lifetime.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Okay.
I just got goosebumps watching that
Goosebumps.
because I remember Phil like it was yesterday now, and
In fact, I maybe want to talk to him. I haven't talked to him in like years.
yes, because I remember what a gentle soul he has, and how much he cared about all this. And
when I was listening, and people were mentioning, why wasn't there a museum? And then the one lady was saying, "Oh, I hope somebody swoops in here and saves it all." What was trippy is, the Academy showed up to the auction and got a bidding paddle and made ovations to profiles that they were going to, be buyers. And I always love to do this, so I'll do it to you. How many items do you think they bought at the auction?
wait a minute, let me guess. None.
None. That's right. So you could sit there and watch some of the most iconic stuff just go by. It just shows you that like zero at the time. And they ought to be fair. A lot that they do have a revolving. In fact, I believe Fred Roos just died. He was president for several years. Sid Ganis, was president for a couple of years. And Sid came in right after all this, and he was the president. I thought we were going to get it done because Sid was like, "Hey, I'm in the driver. I'm president now. I'm going to make this happen for Debbie." Wrong. He ran into the ego wall.
Oh, yes. Right.
So
Oh, your ego is not your amigo. That's what I always say. I have that burned on the back of my caps.
and
And
to
it's
this day, I
true.
think that's part of the reason, why they, didn't give Debbie more credit.
Yeah.
Why they didn't save the stuff and get it in this museum. Even why they do call me for camera equipment, but they've never called me for a Debbie costume.
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. All these years, no Debbie.
And we've got them.
We've got them, and
Yeah.
I would lend it to them, even though I got to tell you, I've had many people say, "Why would you deal with those people?" And the answer is, my mother would want me to, in the interest of the people, not the board. In the interest of the fans, not the other folks that caused this journey to be so difficult.
Yeah. Well, we still have a dream, and I am so on board with that dream because I think whenever people come here, because we have a museum here, and whenever people come here for an event or
And speaking of
for the
dreams,
first time, it's dreams. That's right.
the stuff-
But people freak out.
I got to do my line.
Oh, okay, we're ready. You got your close up, Mr. DeMille.
It's the stuff dreams are made of. Just thought I'd say that.
Yes.
I love when there's a MacGuffin, a prop in a movie that gets caught. The whole movie revolves around this. The Judy Garland slippers, the movie's not revolving. It directly revolves around the slippers because they're the mechanism to get her home. But it's a little less featured. I mean, this is an entire movie built around the Black Bird. And Sidney Greenstreet, I think that was like his first movie or maybe his second. I mean, he's awesome in that movie. He's the bad guy, Peter Lorre, crying and whining when Humphrey Bogart smacks him around. I mean, it's the stuff dreams are made of.
Yes,
and
indeed.
so it was funny because you just said it was Debbie's dream, ironically, and to have all the stuff that dreams were made of, and then not be able to deliver any final museum dream.
Yes, but you just never know because
You just never know.
we every now and then, more now than then, we will get a call from somebody who says, "Hey, there's this building becoming available, and
Right.
and we're thinking it would be neat to have the museum there." And we get all, so but it's so funny. I'm used to that because being in the entertainment business our whole lives, we're used to stop, start. Things are they only they're happening when the paper is signed and the check is cashed. You know what I mean? As far as
Well, yeah.
all of that, because you
It's all
learn not
about
to
money,
let
isn't it?
yourself get too disappointed about things. But it just seems to me that it's not over till it's over, and I just believe in that. What do you think, Seth?
Over until it's over and until yeah, I think I think it has to be done. Someone brought up a good comment earlier and they said it's probably a good thing that maybe the costumes didn't end up in Pigeon Forge because that whole area got burned about 9 years ago.
But the island survived, and that our building would have survived.
The building was pure stone. I
Well,
mean,
it was made of steel and concrete, but
it was
wa-
incredible.
That island, that area burned, but not our building. It would be
Good point, though.
The truth of the matter is Pigeon Forge would have been a major moneymaker, and what would have happened is we would have had the resources to go out and save even more stuff. It would become the depository, for
Yes.
all the great things. And you obviously hear me, I'm out collecting like the camera crane that we got the other day that we've talked about, the RO camera crane
Right.
from MGM, and cameras and lights and costumes and we would have gone all over the place, all over the world. Because, don't forget a lot of movies obviously were made in Italy and Spain and England. And, we could have gone and acquired things from those places. And it was in a time where things could have been gotten easier than they are now. The good news is my mother was single-handedly responsible for increasing the awareness, but also the value of these artifacts. Just to prove my point, you saw what those are going for. In the last auction, that happened recently.
Yes.
A pair of the ruby slippers. Now, granted, it is the pair that she danced in. In fact, they're beat to hell,
Yeah.
but in a good way. But when we
Because
were
they're
first,
beat to hell from dancing with Judy Garland's feet in them.
for
That's
the
it.
movie.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look, I remember this conversation at the MGM auction. My mother could have bid on those slippers, and she said, I was like, why aren't we bidding on those? And she said, because I have a pair that's in perfect condition for the museum already secured. And in her mind, it was one of the most important artifacts. So she already had this pair here that was set up for her, and that in her mind, that was a done deal. At the time, nobody was thinking, oh, it might be more valuable if it is screen worn or danced in or whatever the case may be. So beat the shit is a good thing, but it didn't seem like it at the time. Honestly, I can remember looking at many things and she's saying, I'm not going to buy that because it's too beat up. But now we know that beat up is okay. And by the way, sometimes you want to restore these things and sometimes you don't. I could think of a few costumes that had to be restored because they weren't even displayable. My mother's chiffon outfit, for an example, where Gene Kelly and her on the sound stage and he sings You Were Meant for Me. That little chiffon outfit in powder blue outfit is very delicate. Like to the point where I can't go on display for any length of time.
Do we still have that?
We do.
I've not seen
it.
it.
Could lay down.
Yeah.
Well, I don't put it out
because it's delicate. Yeah.
Seth has got pictures of Pigeon Forge. So there's the building before it had its skin on it. But that building's 10 stories tall. It had three major. It had two 200-seat theaters and one 120-seat theater. It had multiple themed pavilions that were themed after major cinematic themes such as romance, westerns, war, science fiction, etc. That was us planning at that. There was just a steel going up in the day. They actually tore that building to the ground because they didn't know what to do with it.
I mean, it's in the shape of a showboat.
That was just to be fun because we're on an island. And literally surrounded by water on all sides. You have to go over 2 bridges to get onto the island.
Is that island even still there anymore?
It is still there, yeah.
What's on it?
They have all the attractions
Paula
there.
Dean's Kitchen and Margaritaville, so you know.
Oh my God.
Yep.
That's right, butter and booze.
I like to think the ruby
says.
slippers are a little more valuable than Paula Dean's cooking.
Yeah.
But
well, so I can't believe they couldn't find a way to use that building. Was it going to be yellow like that, or was
No, it was white. I'll show you a render. It was a huge showboat.
But it was yellow in that picture.
Because that's the insulation.
It
didn't have
I was going to say, I would have rethought that,
no,
but I'm not a big yellow
fan. It gets
fan.
concrete, so that's insulation, foam insulation. And then it gets stucco on the outside of that. So the whole building was steel and concrete and foam.
Oh, it was such a magnificent building. I will never forget it, walking through it and Todd showing me everything. And I was so grateful that I got a chance to see it before they tore it down many years later, actually. It sat for a long time.
I was just thinking about this picture that he's got right now.
Which one?
This picture here, look at the look in her face.
So
she's seeing that this is the topping off party at Belle Island. So they're putting the sign on top of the building. And at that moment, it was gonna happen. Look at her face. I mean, the building was happening. We had the money. The lending was done. It's a done deal. The economy was fine. Everything was cool. I mean, and there she is looking. Look at the look in her eyes. I mean, she's so hopeful.
Oh yeah.
A remarkable.
What a heartbreak.
For her.
What an incredible heartbreak.
And
wow.
A lot of people are asking about the story of this, but I can safely say we have so much footage that Todd has shot of this whole building that we will do a whole episode dedicated to this.
Well, we would like to see,
project.
we would love to see a documentary made out of all the
Oh,
footage
there's some
about this project, because if people only knew, the amount of emotion, finances, heartbreak. But it's not just a sad story. There's a lot of it that's great too. But to see one person's vision like that, and then mother and son just, pushing through all the negativity, and that's the thing that just got me, is how you both were still standing, because it was so big. It was such a big dream to have blow up.
It would have, as I said, made a lot of money. The projections were really quite extraordinary. And that would have allowed, and like when I would share that with my mother, she was like, oh, this is cool. We'll be able to go out and buy more stuff. I mean, that's all. She wasn't like, oh, this is great. I'll retire. This is great. I can buy a bigger house or whatever. I'll get a fancier anything or that or thing. No, it was, we'll get more stuff.
Your mom never spent money on herself.
No.
She never spent money on herself. That was the one thing. I mean, that was one of many things I noticed about her. She was generous with everybody, but with herself, the money that she spent was on this kind of stuff.
Well,
and
we didn't even know. She also supported a lot of people in her lifetime. I won't name names, but there were a number of people that she supported through their entire life. Not only family, but many mentors and friends that she supported. One of which was Lillian Sidney. I think that would be worth mentioning.
Oh, yes.
And Lillian literally lived, you know, and was Debbie. Debbie just thought she was an incredible mentor and owed her career to her in her mind. And so she supported her endlessly. And there were a lot of people like that. And I didn't even know all the people that were on the dole until she passed away, because they all came to me going,
with their hand out.
I was like, excuse me.
You know, your mom was incredible, and she was doing that when she couldn't afford to do that.
Of course.
That she was working just to be able to support everybody else. You know, like that. What you're talking about. KCI, says docuseries, and I think that would be a really, instead of a one-off documentary, I think this would make a great docuseries.
Well, I have
because there's so much drama and
but I have all of the footage. I began to document this in Vegas because that was my starting involvement. But I have a very, very detailed documentation of the museum being built in Vegas and it operating in Vegas and it going away. I have very detailed films of Hollywood and Highland, of it being built there and the space being developed out there in the whole saga, and you saw some of it. I have very detailed footage of Pigeon Forge and it being built there and the saga and all of that. And yeah, it is quite a journey to think that this couldn't somehow be done. It was unimaginable, unthinkable that this wasn't going to happen. I mean, neither one of us, we just could not absorb the idea that wasn't going to happen. I mean, and plus we were powerful people. I mean, we had the ability to influence and to make things happen, and we had thrown all of our power, all of our energy, all of our faith was there, and neither one of us were negative people. So we spoke words, let it be said, let it be written, let it be done, as Yul Brynner says in The King and I. And that is what we did. And I remember sitting in a restaurant with my mother around the Hollywood and Highland time, and we had to have the money to do the build out. And that was when we borrowed the money to start doing that. And we were like, you know, if we're not going to, now or never is what she said. She was like, we've got to do this now or never. And I was like, we've never risked a collection. And she says, but if it's not going to happen, it's not going to happen. And we got to make it happen this way. And we got to do it ourselves. Nobody was stepping up. So we risked parts of the collection as collateral with a loan, which we've told that story.
Yes, right.
And that, in the end, is what caused the auction. I mean, honestly, I don't think we could have ridden it out anyway. It was ridiculous.
It was the 2008 crash that did it all in, you know, and as it is. But, you know, I love you were talking about speaking it into existence, because we have the ability to do that with everything, speak things into existence. I was just with, you know, my girlfriend, and she's got somebody fantastic in her life now, and we're together today, the three of us, he, she, and I, and she literally said, I spoke him into existence. And so it's like speaking things into existence is a very real thing, which is why you got to watch what you say and what you think, because what you think ultimately comes out of your mouth. And then when that happens, there it is.
And the flip side, of course, is if you're negative, you can speak those things into existence.
That's exactly right.
The same amount of energy and faith in your words can go into negativity and cause negativity to follow you around, like the little Snoopy character in
With the
Charlie
cloud.
Brown that had the cloud following around.
Yes.
Pigpen or whatever his name was.
Yes.
I thought that was a great character because there are just people that have that sort of negative mentality. Now, my mother and I were never like that. I was raised by her, and she's a very, very positive force. And I mean, when the two of us would get together on something, I mean, look out, man. I mean, I used to think, you're not stopping us. I mean, I would sit up and I'd be in courtrooms and talking people down that were 10 times my match. And I didn't care because it was my mom and I, and we were unstoppable. Or as they say in the movie, unsinkable.
Okay. Oh, yes.
Because it made me think of, so I was going through documentary footage, which, by the way, will, of course, one day, I'm sure, see the light of day. But your mom was talking about you, Todd, on one of those interviews, and, she said that she couldn't have even gotten it to the first museum in Las Vegas if it weren't for you, and how you moved that collection from place to place to place. And then, because somebody had commented, and I lost the comment, but just that, the fact that merely that was all even saved throughout that time. I mean, I know certain things were lost, like you said, but it's an incredible.
But
well, actually, I want to
said
say
that
this.
many times.
Under my watch, nothing was lost. There were no John LeBeaus or any of that shit. That party was over. When I moved that collection to Las Vegas, I took everything out of Debbie Reynolds' dance studio. I moved everything to Las Vegas. I built a special room for it. And we started to repack everything. I went to the Victoria and Albert Museum to learn how to do it, to preserve these textiles. And I took charge of it. Now, even when the museum closed in Las Vegas, I built a building at the ranch, and it was moved to the ranch. And everything was on the ranch. And there was, good luck getting on the ranch and getting out of there with something. It would have been very expensive for your life. And so that stuff was being looked after with great, me and Smith and Wesson and Winchester and Heckler and Koch and Glock and you name it.
All your little friends.
All represented here with the finest films are the finest gun manufacturers. But I think like when we were doing Vegas, I just remember it so well. She came to me and she said, we decided, hey, let's do the museum here. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. Now, I didn't mean me. So she called in some fancy museum designer who took like a month and came in with some renderings. And it was like all this boring walkthrough exhibit stuff. And I looked at it and I was sitting with my mom and, I didn't want to say anything in front of the guy like, you have no imagination. But I just sat there and I let the meeting end. And afterwards I said to her, I said, let me take a shot at how I might see this working. And that's when I came up with the carousels and I said the clips, we have to do the clips. So I drew some things. And I have all these original pencil sketchings that I went to her with. And I remember putting it in front of her and her looking at it, not quite understanding it. And I had to explain the General Electric Theater at Disneyland in reverse. Instead of the audience turning around the stage, I said, we'll just turn the stage around in front of the audience. And then we'll do that all around them. And, she just was like, let's do it. I mean, it was like that simple. And we didn't even have the money or didn't even know how we were going to pay for it. So when she said, let's do it, I was like, fine, let's do it. And I mean, I went out and we attacked that thing. And
we still have those giant carousels just in the event.
And they're back in Vegas. So they went from Vegas to Creston.
Yep.
They were at the ranch for years, and now they're back here in Vegas, ready for their next leg
and
of their journey.
we did use a small carousel in the first auction. I'll never forget it, Seth. You would have flipped out. There was a Kim Novak dress. I don't know what movie it was from. It was the most gorgeous.
It was Pal Joey.
My pal Joey. Pal Joey. It was so stunning.
Well, you like it because it had fringe.
Well, it had
the
sparkle and
things,
fringe, all my favorite things, and and it was it was a carousel that went around, and it had 3 costumes in it, so you could see one costume
the
at a time.
Monroe dress was one of them.
The Monroe dress, the subway dress, where her dress billows up, over the subway grate.
I think.
Well, I can't remember what the third costume was,
I
but
think it actually was.
That was so
I think
gorgeous.
it might have either been the Hello Dolly dress, or it could have been also the Egyptian
Did we
That's
get
what it
footage of
was.
that?
It was that one.
The Egyptian.
We shot so much footage at that backstage at that auction.
Well, there we have another video, and this I had to trim it down from about a 45-minute documentary to what you're about to see because there's so much incredible footage. So stay
Let's do
tuned.
it.
Well, hit it, Gracie. Roll it. Well, you don't even have the screen open.
Oh,
yet.
well,
I was so busy.
while you're getting that ready, I'll just say there's only one of the auction books left, the unsigned, for $85. There is only one left on the site. I just wanted to update you because Ryan
The
just
signed one
updated
went
me.
in 5 seconds.
Yes. So there is one of the unsigned auction books left, and it's $85 and free shipping at the Debbie Reynolds Studio Store.com. And let's go to the videotape.
To the video, George.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to talk over this, really.
Oh, okay. Well, this was the main gallery at the Paley Center. You could see the Singing the Rain Good Morning outfit, and the Gene Kelly stuff on the left came back to me, fortunately. And that's the Dueling Cavalier outfits of Gene Hagen and of course, Gene Kelly. And then my mother's green dress did sell. And then you could see a Meet Me in St. Louis outfits down there, Mary Astor, and, of course, Judy Garland, and little, what's her name? Margaret O'Brien. And then down there, you see the ascot dress a little further down. And then way down at the end is the, looks like, I'm seeing at the far end was the My Fair Lady, not My Fair, well, My Fair Lady, but beyond that is the Barbara Streisand stuff, yeah. And then Desiree at the very end, so Marlon Brando. On the left is Claudette Colbert. Way straight ahead on the left is the Claudette Colbert Cleopatra from the 30s. Then Desiree, Meryl Oberon on the right. Far right, the pink outfit is, of course, Gene Simmons. I can't see what that rest of that stuff. I do see Elizabeth Taylor's riding outfit for National Velvet. I see the Mildred Pierce outfit.
Oh, I was
there's
obsessed
the Grace
with that.
Kelly skirt, and next to it is the Cary Grant suit from To Catch a Thief. And I don't know where we're going after that. Just keep.
Gaslight.
Gaslight. The whole Gaslight. So that would have been, of course, Ingrid Bergman, and it had a, anyways, great movie. Again, there's the MacGuffin. So that dress that you see on the right of your screen is actually the Ingrid Bergman. That's a MacGuffin because it was the plot of the movie that the jewels were hidden in the dress. And so there's a good example of a costume that actually became a MacGuffin, much like the Ruby Slippers or the Maltese Falcon. I don't know what that was. The other one on the right is, so that's Wizard of Oz. That's a Shirley Temple, I believe.
Wait, the
to
green
left.
is the Wizard of Oz.
Munchkin.
A
Well,
munch-
actually, it's not a Munchkin. It's the guys in the town.
Emerald City.
What are they? Yeah, what are those guys called? They're not Munchkins, but whatever. Anyway, the guys that were in the little city. And then Ruby Slippers you see coming up on the right. And then, of course, there's the Pinafore dress, the test dress. So that was the main gallery at the Paley Center. When you first came in, you kind of worked off to your right, and then up. There was the carousel she's talking about.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's the
let it
Marilyn
roll.
Monroe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So on the back side of what Kat was talking about. And of course that rotated and you could see, and that was part of the original display situation in Las Vegas. That was the centerpiece in the walkthrough. You can go on. It is turning, but you didn't keep the whole thing is what you're saying.
And, this is a good day and a sad day, but we're happy you're here. Debbie Reynolds.
First of all, thank you all for being here and in any other room. If you're in another room, hi. I know that you all feel sad as I do because it all means a lot to all of us. And we really don't want to let any of this go because it's in our hearts. But I feel very good that you're here because you see it'll soon be in your heart. So I do thank you, and I thank you for caring about preserving our golden age of costuming and props. I've been collecting these for 45 years, and I'm only 40. These precious items, really, I just pray that you who obtain these pieces will love and care for them as much as we do. For our future generations. No, I never cry, only when I love everything. So on behalf of Profiles in History, which is Joe Maddalini, isn't that a silly name? Todd, my son, who did all this work. I mean, without Todd, all these years, I never would have been able to do it. And my daughter Carrie's here too. And my granddaughter, we even have another child. Her name is Billy Catherine. She's right over there. Now, Lord, Mary, stop that. You're not my granddaughter. I want to say thanks to Philip Hoffman. He's standing right back there. He decorated all It's precious. I know you love everything as much as I do. I'm so thrilled that I was around to save it because I'm so stubborn I wouldn't give it up. Thanks for being here.
Oh, more?
880,000. Gentleman's bid still bidding in the back of the room at 910,000. Anyone else? Gentlemen in the second row. 910,000 going once.
That's you.
910,000 going twice. All done. And sold.
That was Dennis King on the left.
Mm-hmm.
I had the best pee. Where is he? Who bought it? On the other side. Second row. Did you hear that? I had the best pee.
Oh, excuse me.
Where is a very nice man? How do you do?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
The only man that ever bought me anything is at all. Years ago when I was young.
You're still young.
After that, I'm all right.
Okay, we're on lot number 111. Thank you.
Stay and love the red slippers.
Okay.
You're gonna squeeze through there again. Yeah, you can do it. I think so. Just put your shoulder first, and it's the boobs I'm worried about. No, just breathe in.
What about me?
I don't know. She's smaller than me. I gotta just.
I did it. So Billy could get in, you know? So
There's Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Wow.
What do you think so far?
I think it's going very well, excepting we're just nervous about the Monroes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So obviously the Wizard of Oz stuff was incredible, but as much as she's impressed with that, I bet she'll get stuck on the Romeo and Juliet and the Marie Antoinette. The Marie Antoinette Norma Shearer gowns went for like $12,000, $15,000. You know, you couldn't even make them for a number anywhere close to that, and that'll be disappointing to her anyway you look at it. And even the Leslie Howard costume from Romeo and Juliet, we paid like $6,000 for the pants. That thing should have brought $50,000, and instead it brought, I think, 20. I mean, the idea that there's no one interested in that would be disappointing to my mom, any way you want to look at it, because she's always thought that stuff was some of the most important stuff to preserve. What's not necessarily the most expensive doesn't mean it's not historically significant and important. So that was an amazing deal for somebody, because one day that is $100,000. I mean, you saw the Valentino piece, I think it brought $200,000 or something. You know, obviously, somebody saw that coming and understood that it needed to be preserved. But some of this stuff is falling between the cracks, unfortunately. And the other thing, if you notice, is there's bidders from everywhere. They're all over the map, which means this stuff's going all over the map.
And that's something she's always been afraid of as well. And the industry should be ashamed of itself for not stepping up to protect this stuff. Even the Douglas Fairbanks and Pickford stuff, that wasn't the Academy bidding. And my God, they're the founders of the Academy, and they don't have anything from them. I mean, come on. Taming of the Shrew for the Academy, that's a no-brainer. So we'll just keep watching and see who bids. But
We're at $4 million. Brian has the bid. $4 million. $4,100,000. At $4,100,000. Gentleman's bid in the center. $4,200,000.
I like this auctioneer.
$4,200,000. Brian on the phone. Against the room. $4,200,000. Give this gentleman a few moments. At $4,200,000. $4,300,000. Bid in the center of the room, Brian, at $4,300,000. $4,500,000.
look at my mother. There you are.
Mm-hmm.
There's Billy, Carrie, and my mom.
$400,000, $500,000, $4,400,000. At $4,400,000, $4,500,000. Gentleman's bid, center of the room, at $4,500,000. $4,600,000. $4,600,000. Ryan has the bid at $4,600,000. $4,600,000. Brian's phone. You're still the leader. John, we'll give him a couple seconds. Not your everyday dress. $4,600,000. Brian has the bid so far. Hold on. Thank you. At $4,600,000. Anybody else? $4,600,000 and sold.
I will never forget that moment ever. And look who she went to hug, because only the two of you truly knew the struggle, the emotion. It was what a moment that was.
Well,
what a moment that was.
The very night before, remember we were sitting out on her porch, and she said, what if it doesn't bring like $1 million? It could be that it only, what if it's, she's panicking.
No, your mom
and I
said, yeah.
And I looked at her, I said, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to bring a lot of money. I don't know how much, but the only thing you can do at this point is you can dry your eyes with $100 bills.
I do remember that.
Me saying that to her?
But I do. But I also remember tucking her in that night, and you were still at the Paley Center. We came home, she and I came back from the Paley Center, and the auction was starting the next morning. And so I tucked her in, her little feet, and everything, as I used to do. And as I was walking out of her door, I turned around and I said, I will see you in the morning. She said, do you think after we pay off the debt, the $5 million debt, that we'll have enough money left over to go on a vacation? And I looked at her, and she was sitting up in her bed, and I said, absolutely. She honestly did not.
Right.
She was too afraid to even think, that she was going to get out from under that incredible debt, and that there would be, all her costumes would be gone. And I don't think people that, if you have never been to one of these auctions, and most of us haven't, that was the first time I ever went to an auction in my life, was that auction. And when I look in the back of the room and I would see all the phone banks, because people are calling from all over the world to bid for things. Now they're bidding against people that are sitting on the floor. But I noticed at that auction that most of the things were bid and bought over the phone. And it was really quite an amazing thing to see, because I thought, can you imagine that you're calling and bidding up to $5 million and more for an item? That to me was like wow, where is all this going? Now, when she said who bought this and the person was in the audience, then we know who bought it. But for most of the things, her greatest fear was it just being scattered to the winds all over the world, and that
Which is exactly what happened.
It is exactly what happened. So we actually don't know who bought all of these huge big ticket items because they were bought over the phone and we're not privileged to that information. So one would think, oh well, you know where it went. We don't know where it went. A lot of it left the country though.
I know where some of it went. I do know where some of it is, and I know that one of the biggest purchasers of not the giant items like because with the juice that's 5.2 million.
Yeah.
But
because the buyer has to pay a 20% commission to the auction house.
Right.
So it's not just someone paid $5 million for a dress; they also had to pay
well, I think it was 15. It was a sliding scale depending. When you get in the millions, the percentage goes down.
Yeah, but
anyway,
that's a lot for a buyer to attach onto it.
Well,
so it's not just 5 million. It's
but today it is a solid
5,200,000.
Today they're doing a solid 20%. I mean,
Yeah.
almost like it's typical.
Yes.
They can get more. The South Koreans bought a lot.
Right.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
Okay, well, listen, I hate wrapping it up because this particular subject for me, because
What now?
I was there for every second of this, and it was so intense. It was a very emotional intensity on all levels. So many weird things happened. Carrie's flight, Carrie wasn't going to be there.
Right.
She was flying to London that night, and I'll never forget it. It was a United Airlines. And as we were on our way to the auction house, we get a call saying that United Airlines computer system went out. It went out at LAX. They had no planes could take off. No one. It was out. And Carrie then came back and came to the auction, where she wasn't going to be there. And so every little thing that happened that night was just fate. It was very incredible, and I think this would make a great docuseries. Now that you've all seen some of this footage, do you think so? Because I really do. I think that it could be absolutely amazing.
We've had a lot of communications today about this being Debbie's day that
Yes.
she left us,
Mhm.
and
8 years ago today.
And so I mean, and of course we know that, and but we appreciate people remembering and thinking about it. And the significance of it. But the difference about this day as opposed to Carrie's days is, I think my mother did what she wanted to do, not only in life, but in the exit as well. One of the true hallmarks of a great performer is knowing how to make an entrance and how to make an exit.
Yeah.
And, she made a remarkable exit. I mean, and it was left in my care to tell the story of the exit, which I've done before. And but the truth is, I mean, for her to look me in the eye and, tell me she wants to be with Carrie, needs to be with Carrie, and she wants to make sure that I'm going to be okay, and all this little dialogue, and then to close your eyes and go to sleep peacefully.
And that's exactly what happened. And she knew that you had me and that I had you. So she wasn't worried about that.
Very much true.
But she also wanted to make sure Dwight, her dog, was... When she started talking about that moments before she left, that was probably your cue to know. But, we just... our minds weren't there.
I'd heard it before. I mean, it caught me off. I mean, no, I wasn't prepared for that. I mean, I didn't even flash on it till in the hospital. But she really, the Dwight thing was nothing new. She's like, well, I hope, I mean, hopefully Uncle Bill will want him because that'd be a cool mix. But if he doesn't want him, then would you be willing to take him? I was like, of course. We've had all these estate conversations before, because we were always trying to protect Carrie in the estate and things like that. There was a lot of trouble putting things in trust and trying to protect Carrie because she at times could be unreliable in her finances.
Right.
By the way, there is a good example of a graceful way of saying something. Someone asked the question earlier, how do you say something? There's lots of ways you could say something, but there are soft ways to say things.
Right. And we should always make our words soft and sweet, for tomorrow we may eat them. That's that's the saying, I believe.
That's good.
And scene. But we're just going to give some things away, as we always do. We have the regular wheel, which you're looking at right there, and it is got all of your names who entered the room and spoke tonight. So your name is automatically there. Ryan, why don't you want to make yourself known?
I will make myself known audibly.
Audibly, okay. Yeah, that's right.
Otherwise, I
Pay
have
no
to
attention
share-
to the man behind that
the
wheel.
curtain.
No, behind the wheel.
Behind the wheel, I love it. Okay, so we're going to spin this wheel, and the people whose names come up,
Let me give them a shuffle.
you'll give them a, yeah, we're giving them a shuffle. There, see all the names that are in there? They're on the right, you can see.
87 names.
87 names, so 87 of you spoke tonight. So here we go. Number 1, we're going to give away these prizes. Then we're going to go to the super wheel. For those of you who donated last week to the show, that there are much fewer names on that wheel. Janine Shaner, come on down. What did Janine win, Seth?
Janine has won a $25 gift certificate to Cat Cosmetics.
Janine, $25 gift certificate to catcosmetics.com. That's catcosmetics.com. That's my company. And we just need your email address, so please write at catandtoddlive@gmail.com and let Ryan know what that is so that we can send that to you. All right, we're going for number 2. Congratulations, Janine. Number 2. Do you have my book here?
I can go running.
Yeah, because I think that would be a nice. Okay.
Well, how can he leave?
So we have Scott Michaels, dearly departed tour. Scott Michaels.
Oh, well, look at
you,
that.
You are so awesome, and you have won. And you know what, Scott? I'm going to pick your gift out, okay? So it's my book. I just got copies of my book in. And it's called Cat and Fern's Excellent God Adventure, and it is 365 days of inspirations so that you can have heaven on earth. And you're going to love it, because I know you, and you're going to love. It's just a page or two a day, but you're not going to believe how wonderful this book is. And every day is list, like January 1, January 2. We just got these in. I'll sign it for you, and I'm so excited for you to have it, because I think you are really going to appreciate it once you see it. So congratulations, Scott Michaels. And if you all don't watch his YouTube channel, you need to know that it is Scott Michaels' Dearly Departed Tours here on YouTube. And also, Jordan is in the room. So Days with Jordan the Lion. Thank you, Jordan, for all your support. If you don't watch Days with Jordan the Lion, D-A-Z-E, check his channel out. It's also awesome. Okay, we're going on to number 3. Number 3. So we're looking at, here we go. Oh my gosh. Jayma Taylor. Jayma Taylor, you have won the Miracle Working Clarifying Hyaluronic Serum from my company, catcosmetics.com. One of my favorite products. This makes your skin so soft, so beautiful. It really softens the lines in your skin, hydrates it. It's an incredible product. Jayma Taylor, this is coming to you, so make sure you all write to Ryan at catandtoddlive@gmail.com so we can get your addresses and emails, which one we need. Okay, I'm going to show real quick while you spin that wheel. I'm going to have the camera go to me so I can show Scott Michaels. Here's the book, and it's oh, good, Scott. This is the book I always wanted to write. It's amazing. 1 or 2 pages a day. The date's at the top. Life-changing. Honestly, I'm so excited. All right.
And they're on sale now at catcosmetics.com.
Oh, that's right. Did you liven that page? Okay. So this book is for sale at catcosmetics.com. I think we only have here about 35 copies.
That's correct.
That I can sign. Otherwise, you can buy it on Amazon. But if you want me to sign it, just go on over there and look for it. All right. Julie Golden. Julie Golden. You won something quite special. You have won the postcard series of the Debbie Reynolds collection, which this is the dress that's right back there, and then her dress from How the West, oh, the
Molly Brown.
unsinkable Molly Brown. Carrie's costume from Debbie's show in Vegas. Debbie's costume from her show in Vegas. This was the Barbara Streisand, the costume she wore when she did her Barbara Streisand imitations. And anyway, they're linen paper. They're gorgeous. And Julie Ann Golden, this is yours. Make sure we get your address. Congratulations, Julie. And now we're going to one more spin. And you got to be in it to win it. There you go. So, Groovy Susie. I think this might be your first win. Groovy Susie, you are getting, this is a vintage piece. It is awesome. It's called Studio Secrets. This was Debbie's, her formulation. This is what she wore on her face every single night. And she had the best skin. You could see how beautiful your mom.
Oh yeah.
And she didn't have a line on her face. Not a line on her face. She was when you saw her.
And she never had her face done. She had her neck done.
She didn't have her face done.
Never had her face done.
See, that's incredible. She was
neck.
Yeah, the neck. We all wish we could do the neck, right? But anyway, Groovy Susie. This is a beautiful vintage piece, but it was her secret weapon, and we were just about
Groovy Susie, who could hang a name on you?
I love that. And we were going to remake this. Debbie had wanted my company to remake it, and we were going to do it. And she got the formulation, and then in the chaos of everything, it was never retrieved. You know, it's in paper somewhere. So I wasn't able to do that. All right, moving on to, are we going to, okay, so we're moving on now. Hey, there's Channing.
You're back. She's
All
come
right.
back.
Okay. And this is Gina Biscelli. Gina Biscelli. You are the winner.
Yes.
I'm going to wait for my camera. There you go. You are the winner of Todd Fisher's autobiography called My Girls. And if you have not read it, you are going to love it. It is so great, this book. So we are so looking forward to sending that to you. Gina, please send us your address at catandtoddlive@gmail.com, and we will get that out to you. And I think that's it, right? For the super wheel now. So all of you that donated last week, you are on the wheel, and there's a lot less names on this one. And this is one prize that is a special prize.
Correct. And
Yeah.
those who donate this week will be on the wheel
next week. That's right. And thank you to all our donors. Your names will be shown
enshrined forever.
And at the end of the show on our super crawl. So we thank you so much for your donations. So good. So wait to see your name tonight. That's right. Here we go. The super wheel is about to spin, and it is going now. All right. All right. Tammy Wilson. Tammy Wilson. Tammy was named after your mom, by the way, from her movie Tammy. Tammy is one of our wonderful, we met her through the show, but we've gotten to know her on the cruise from last year, and
Now,
being
if
around.
She has that book.
Tammy's awesome.
Do you think she has that book?
No.
I think Tammy may have that book. So
Tammy, do you have this book?
If she does, we would give her the other one from the
This
Carrie
is one.
Okay,
this
so
is
from
one of the
the
books that we
personal,
were
okay.
just selling on the site. If you have this book, Tammy, let me know. You know, you can
But
send
we
up
could-
a smoke
but
signal.
Let us know.
Burrow.
We would send her the one from
Mail.
the Carrie Debbie estate sale. The
Okay.
The third.
Yep.
Fourth.
Yeah,
So Tammy, let us know if you have this. Congratulations, Tammy Wilson. And everybody, thank you so much for the donations to the show tonight. We just so appreciate it. Everything that we make, of course, goes towards the production of this show and all of the legacy projects that we have going for this. So we thank you so much. And Ryan, there you are. Hi, pal. I get to see, you know what? April will be here before you know it. He's coming out at Easter.
It will be.
And Kyle, too. So it's going to be
very,
great.
very disappointed he didn't come. For
I
the
know.
holidays.
We wanted you here for the holidays, but we understand people.
I know,
You have
I know.
family,
It
a
was all
family.
very- we
No,
talked
no,
about
we
well, and you know,
are.
we just sort of, it came up at the last minute. And,
Yep.
We
you know.
are Ryan's
I'm a
family.
planner, as you know.
I do know, and I love that about you. All right, so we just thank you so much. I think we're playing something more at the end of the show.
Well, you had asked if, as a little tribute to both of the girls, just as we're remembering them this week especially, if we would put together, or I put together quite a few photos of the girls and Todd and their journey together.
That's right, and
here on Earth.
I thank you for getting that done because I know today was hectic, as you could
is it
see at the
copywritten
beginning of
music,
the
or we
show.
okay?
No, well, I plugged in royalty free, so I can.
That's right.
That's what they
I-
told me.
I made sure of that. So here we go. While you say goodbye to each other, all of
And
you.
then Ryan will close us out after.
And Ryan is going to do what?
Ryan will
I'll
close us out.
jump
He
in.
is
I'll
the
jump
list
in
of
right
donors.
after.
Oh, yes, and you have your donor crawl, so please don't miss that. If you donated tonight, you're going to want to see that. And also, we just want to say thank you again. We love you. Enjoy this time to say good night and goodbye to each other until next week, and we will see you then, okay?
Oh, he's going to run the crawl? Okay.
A home that knows your joy and laughter, filled with memories by
I'll just turn it off.